Hi, I'm Harry from One Direction, and you're listening to the Hits Radio. And this is the One Direction weekend. I'm taking over next, playing 1 hour of our favourite tunes, so stay there.
The Hits Summer and online. This is the Hits Radio.
Hi, I'm Harry from One Direction, and you're listening to the Hits Radio, and this is the One Direction weekend. For the next hour, I'm taking over, playing my favourite tunes. And to get us going is our first single, What Makes You Beautiful. To the Hits Radio, and that was Alexis Jordan and Happiness. I'm Harry from One Direction, exclusively on the Hits Radio today, playing an hour of my favourite tunes. Plus, I'll be giving you the lowdown on life in the band as well. And let's get this one on now. I love this tune. It is The A-Team by Ed Sheeran on the Hits Radio. Tiny Temper on the Hits Radio. I'm Harry from One Direction, playing an hour of my favourite tunes. We finished the X Factor tour in April, and when we'd finished that, we started recording for our debut album, and we obviously recorded our first single, and since then have been making the video for the single, which was all very fun. And we do miss the show a little bit, and here is my favourite song that we did on the show. It's Summer '69 on the Hits Radio. That's Adele on the Hits Radio. I'm Harry from One Direction, playing an hour of my favourite tunes. And on the way next, it's the Saturdays. Jay Sean and Hit the Lights on the Hits Radio. When I was younger, I used to listen to a lot of Elvis Presley, because my dad used to listen to it a lot, so that was always on in the car and in the house. So that is the kind of stuff that I always used to listen to, a lot of older stuff, you know, kind of Beatles and Elvis. So here is Elvis, my idol, with the remix by JXL versus Elvis Presley with a little less conversation on the Hits Radio, One Direction's weekend. That was Beyonce on the Hits Radio. I'm Harry from One Direction, taking over as part of the Hits Radio's exclusive One Direction weekend. I love this track right now. It's Wretch 3-2 featuring Josh Cumrat and Don't Go on the Hits Radio. Don't go!
Across the UK, on Freeview, digital and online. This is the Hits Radio.
Hey, I'm Liam from One Direction, and you're listening to the Hits Radio, and this is One Direction Weekend. Woohoo! For the next hour, I'm taking over, playing my favourite tunes, and to get us going, here it is. It's our first single, What Makes You Beautiful.
This weekend, it's all about one band, One Direction, taking over.
You're listening to the Hits Radio, and that was Lady Gaga, Edge of Glory. I'm Liam from One Direction, exclusively on the Hits Radio today, playing 1 hour of my favourite tunes. What better to do? Plus, I'll be giving you the lowdown on life in the band as well, and let's get on with this now. I love this. It's a great track. Here it is. It's Pitbull Neo, Give Me Everything, on the Hits Radio. Rihanna there on the Hits Radio. I'm Liam from One Direction, playing an hour of my favourite tunes. X Factor, I mean, what do you think of when you think of X Factor? I always think of those big, massive doors that you come out to on a Saturday night. And I think that was like the main thing for all of us, was just envisaging that. And then when we were behind them, it was such a different feeling. Like, you always think, that person on TV, you know, how do they feel? They stood behind the doors, their music's just started, the doors open, and you just see that crowd. And I've got to say, it probably is one of the most amazing feelings in the world, and getting to do that every Saturday night for, 10 weeks was fantastic. We all had a great time. It was just fantastic to have 4 others on the stage as well. Like, performing as a band is way better than performing as a solo, because you can just kind of have a laugh at each other, and you can kind of look at each other for support. And no, it was really good fun, X Factor. Now, somebody else who was on the X Factor as well was a winner, and released a song, and it was amazing. You all know why I love her. It's Leona Lewis. This is her new song, Collide. That's Ollie Murs there on the Hits Radio. I'm Liam from One Direction, playing an hour of my favourite tunes. It's been fantastic. On our way next, it's The Wanted. That was Katy Perry there on the Hits Radio. I'm Liam from One Direction, playing an hour of my favourite tunes. Talking about idols, who was my idols when I was growing up? Well, there was Frank Sinatra was one, but the one that was stuck out for me was probably Oasis, because when I was little, when I was about 6 years old, I used to stand in the living room whenever their music video was on, or my dad put their record on. I put my hands behind my back like Liam Gallagher, and I'd sway and sing their songs. And this is one of them. This is Wonderwall by Oasis. Hope you enjoy it.
Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. By now you should have somehow realized what you gotta do. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now.
I'm Liam from One Direction. I've been here playing my favourite tunes. It's been fantastic. Now, on to the last track. I've got to choose it. Beautiful people, Chris Brown. I know Zayn will love it. Enjoy and party.
Everywhere, everywhere, everywhere I go, everywhere that I've been, the only thing I...
You're listening to the Hits Radio, and this is the One Direction Weekend. I'm taking over next, playing 1 hour of my favourite tunes. Stay here.
Across the UK, on Freeview, digital and online. This is the Hits Radio.
Hey, I'm Louis from One Direction, and you're listening to the Hits Radio. For the next hour, I'm taking over playing my favourite tunes, and to get us going, our first single, What Makes You Beautiful.
This weekend, it's all about one band, One Direction are taking over.
You're listening to the Hits Radio, and that was JLS. I'm Louis from One Direction, exclusively on the Hits Radio today, playing an hour of my favourite tunes. Plus, I'll be giving you the lowdown on Life in the Band as well. And next, one of my favourite party tunes, Party Rock Anthem by LMFAO.
I just wanna make you sweat.
That was Snoop Dogg and Sweat on the Hits Radio. I'm Louis from One Direction, playing an hour of my favourite songs. When we were brought back on stage after already getting a note at boot camp, we didn't really know what to expect, and we were looking around at each other and trying to make little bits of conversation, but funnily enough, we didn't even really know each other, so we didn't really have that much to talk about. And we were stood there trying to work out what was going on, and then Simon decided that he was going to put us in a band, so it was a really strange feeling. We didn't really know what was going on, we didn't really know what it was like to be in a group, and it was kind of scary, but really, really exciting, and we all felt very lucky to have that opportunity. And here's the winner's single of last year's X Factor, Matt Cardle with When We Collide. That was Enrique on the Hits Radio. I'm Louis from One Direction, playing an hour of my favourite tunes. When I was growing up as a kid, there was one guy in particular, Robbie Williams, who was a great inspiration to me. Even at an early age, I really appreciated his stage presence and just how he manipulated a crowd and just got the crowd to just focus on him. I thought that was amazing, and we actually got the chance to perform with him on the X Factor, which was an absolute dream. So here we are, my idol Robbie Williams with She's the One on the Hits Radio, One Direction's Weekend. It's Diddy Dirty Money on the Hits Radio. I'm Louis from One Direction, taking over as part of the Hits Radio's exclusive One Direction Weekend. Another one of my favourite tracks right now is California King Bed by Rihanna, and it's on the Hits Radio.
Hey, I'm Niall from One Direction, and you're listening to the Hits Radio. And this is the One Direction Weekend. For the next hour, I'm taking over playing my favourite tunes.
This weekend, it's all about one band, One Direction are taking over.
And that was Ed Sheeran. I'm Niall from One Direction, exclusively on the Hits Radio today, playing an hour of my favourite tunes. Plus, I'll be giving you the lowdown on Life in the Band as well. Okay, and let's get this on now. I love this tune. It's JLS, She Makes Me Wanna on the Hits Radio. Jesse J on the Hits Radio. I'm Niall from One Direction, playing an hour of my favourite tunes. So, as you all know, we were on the X Factor last year. A crazy experience. One that all of us will never ever forget. Basically what happened to me was I've always wanted to be on TV, get on the stage. I was always one of these kids that always tried to get up and perform. And basically, I wanted to do it a year before, but the age limit went up, so I was too young. And everything's fell in place from then, and I'm delighted I didn't go for it then in the end. So I'm in One Direction now, and it's all good. Okay, and here is one of my favourite songs that we did in the show. It's Only Girl in the World by Rihanna, and it's on the Hits Radio, One Direction Weekend. That's David Guetta on the Hits Radio. I'm Niall from One Direction again, playing an hour of my favourite tunes. And on the way next, it's Bruno Mars. That was Wretch 32 on the Hits Radio. I'm Niall from One Direction again, playing an hour of my favourite tunes. Okay, so basically, leading up to the next song, I'd like to talk about some artists that I've grown up listening to. And the next song is from a band that I've always liked. A British band. We got to perform with them on the X Factor final and performed with one of their members, Robbie Williams. They always had some great songs even when they're young. Probably a few cringe, probably looking back at it now, and we'll probably do the same when we're older. But you know, five normal lads got put together. We're playing the clubs in Manchester, and now we're one of the biggest bands in the world, and played eight nights in consecutive with Wembley Stadium. So the next song now is I actually love this track at the moment. It's The Flood by Take That.
ending.
Was Enrique on the Hits Radio. I'm Niall from One Direction, taking over as part of the Hits Radio exclusives One Direction weekend. Loving this track at the moment. Our Cher Bear went #1 last week. So here's one for Cher Lloyd, Swagger.
Pitbull and Give Me Everything. I'm Zayn from One Direction and I'm taking over the radio station for the next hour and picking the songs. Plus, coming up, I'll give you all the backstage gossip on our tour as well. And don't forget to tweet me using the hashtag 1DHQRadio. Let's get back to the music now. This is Maroon 5.
Just shoot for
Radio. How are you doing today? Direct from 1DHQ, I'm Zayn from One Direction. This hour, I'm taking over to play some of my favourite songs. Plus, you can't blame me for playing some of our own songs too, can you? This is my favourite track from the album. This is Tell Me a Lie. Love that song there from Professor Green and Emily Sandé. That's to read all about it. This is the Hits Radio. I'm Zayn from One Direction and I'm in control today, taking over the radio station. Now, we started our first headline tour in December and we loved the chance to perform live. Basically, before I go on stage, what I tend to do is I always brush my teeth, which is a little bit weird, but I feel more comfortable after I've done it, so that's what I do. And if you haven't seen us yet, make sure you get down to see us on tour if you can. Right, stay there. Katy Perry's next.
Which one is it?
Tweet using the hashtag 1DHQRadio. So, massive song there. Still, example and kickstarts. Thanks for getting me on today, direct from 1DHQ. I'm Zayn from One Direction. As I said, I'm in control today, and seeing as I'm here, I'm going to indulge myself. So basically, I love Chris Brown, and I've always been a massive fan of him. Just think he's great. He's got a great voice, and love his music. So let's get on. This is Chris Brown with You, one of my favourite tracks. Video. So my time's nearly up on here. I'm Zayn from One Direction, and I'm in control right now. Stay right there, as I'm going to get on our latest single, plus a bit of Rihanna.
Get more.
Video. To finish this afternoon, that's our latest single, One Thing. I'm Zayn from One Direction. Thanks for your company. I'll see you very soon. 1DHQ is back next week.
The Hits Radio.